All right, YouTubers, here we are with the new Boostauto Parts tow mirrors for my 2006 Chevy 2500. Super excited for these. Just came in the mail today. It was a Father's Day gift from my wife. Been eyeballing these guys for a while. So anyways, just thought I'd do a quick unboxing and then we'll do an install video a little bit later. So it looks like, oh, they give you a koozie for that beer that you'll drink when you're done. Looks like inline fuse with a quick connect. A little bit of wiring. I believe this is the wire that goes from the passenger side to the driver's side to tie the two together as far as running the reverse lights, the auxiliary lights. Looks like they're packaged in here pretty good and just a little hard to do one-handed. So the idea is it's supposed to be a quick, simple plug-and-play setup. So this must be I believe this is the passenger one because that is the connector that goes with that cable. These are the OEM style connectors. And then I believe this is the power for the lights. I might be wrong on that. Let's see here. If I can get these out with one hand. Sweet. Yeah, so this is definitely the passenger side. So I went with the smoked LED front, and then, man, these things are pretty heavy. I feel like decent quality. And then the back here, it's got the reverse light and I upgraded those to the high output, and then the indicator lights obviously built into it. So it's basically supposed to be the new body style tow mirrors to put on my Classic. So underneath here is obviously another one for the driver's side, and these things come full power. It's got the defrost built in. They're supposed to be damn near plug and play. That's one of the appealing features of it, and I think it'll just give a really sharp new look to my truck. So anyways, we'll get this rest of the way unboxed, and then we'll take a look at the truck as it sits, and then I'll start the how-to on how to install. Okay, so here's the before shot with the stock tow mirrors. And I don't think I'm gonna level the new ones, at least not right away. Mainly because I do tow, and I'm a little concerned that when you do the level mod, it allows it to fold back a lot easier because you're removing that resistance. And when my tow mirrors are telescoped out, I'm afraid it might fold back a little too easy in the wind or something. We'll see. I don't really mind it too much until people point it out. I'm like, yeah, level would look better. So anyways, here's it before. We'll get working on it after. Okay, so the game plan here is to remove this door insert and this little triangular piece here to get to the bolts to get the mirrors out. From there, we'll have to bolt in the new mirror and then hook up the connections to the OEM connectors, and then we'll run the wires through this boot here, and then I pulled back this carpet and we'll run it back there, underneath there, to get to the driver's side. And those wires are going to be for the reverse lights, the auxiliary reverse lights, as well as the forward blinker and running lights, which is, you know, the part that's going to be right here. That was part of the appeal of this new kit for me. So then we'll pull the dash down a little bit so I can get into here for wiring, do the exact same thing here, and then go through the firewall to the fuse block where we'll tie everything together for power. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on pulling this apart. There's I'm going to guess 10 millimeter there. This piece here should just pop right out. Little insert here. Looks like there's another bolt there, but I think that's not attached, so I don't think you have to remove that. So just this one, and then this plug here. This piece should just pull off too. Yeah, just like that. You can start to see the wires are back here, as well as the nuts that we're gonna have to take off to get the mirror off. So I'm gonna get to work on this. Once I get it apart, I'll show you guys where we're at with it. And usually these things just have a couple plugs and a bolt, and then they pop off and then lift up, because there's usually a lip that runs inside the Windows track. But I've actually never taken these doors apart. I've just done it like on my Jeep and stuff in the past. So let me get it figured out and then I'll come back. All right, so we got the door panel off, and I think it's worth noting, this is the control for your heated seats, and it plugs in here. These two connectors is what the existing mirror gets its power from. And then this connector is goes into the door and goes, I'm assuming, to the computer in the truck. Now, these are just quick press release type connectors. This one has a lever style connector, so it's a little more challenging to get out. And what you'll notice is, so here's the lever, right? And when it's in the lock position, which is all the way up here, see if I can manipulate this with one hand, it clicks, and to get it out, you have to push down on that little tab right there. And then that'll allow it to lever back and pull out of the bottom of that. So when you take, this is the driver's side, when you take the door off, get on the inside and push your door insert over here to the right, and then you can reach it a little bit easier. But these are the two that go to the factory mirror. So we're gonna pull this insulation out here in a minute, and we'll just take these 3 bolts out right there, and then that guy out, and they should just pop right out. The new one pops in, bolts up. It has the same 2 plug and play connectors, and then it's got the other one for the, like I said, the reverse light and the front running lights, which is what makes it different. So as far as removing it goes, you have to remove the lock mechanism, and there's a, I think it's an 8mm bolt there. There's a 8mm bolt here right below the or behind the door handle. You had to remove the trim piece around the handle. There's these 2 latches here and here that the door insert sits in. There was another 8mm, like somewhere like right here, going straight up. And then there was a plug here that just pulled out. And on the other side, so this was the plug that you just pulled out. On the other side, I tried doing it, and then all of a sudden this pops off, and there's actually a Torx bit screw behind it. And so that's over here, right here. Once all of those are out and everything's loose, you got to lift straight up, because as you'll see, these are kind of on a shelf, and they sit in those notches in the bottom of the door there and there. So you have to lift straight up, otherwise you won't clear those out. And then as you can see here, this sits inside the notches up top, and then this sits inside your window frame. So, okay, so that should do it for that. I'm gonna get the mirror out and then get the new one bolted in. We got the driver's side mirror mounted. As I mentioned, just 3 10mm bolts. It looks like the bolts that come with the new kit are a lot longer. I used a short 10mm socket to get the original ones off, and they bottomed out before I could get these tight on the new ones, so just be aware of that. This is your signal wire that's going back with the inline fuse, and then your other wire here for the rear reverse lights. All I did was remove I have the Bose system in mine, and this just has a little spring clip that holds it in place. Popped the speaker out, unplugged it. I ran the wires down through this gap here, because this is where one of those little shelves sit. And then I just took this boot off and I ran it up through there on both sides. I gotta put that back on. Used one of these tools here, one of these little, so I can get a picture of it, little grabber tools, and I actually just taped the wires to the end of it and pushed it through, since it's flexible and has a good handle on it. And then I came in and I ended up removing all this trim stuff just to make it a little easier to get back here, since this is where I'm going to be pushing through the firewall. I don't think you'll have to do that on the other side. You'll just be able to remove just the boot. And then once again, we'll bring the wire from the other side to here. We'll tie it all together, and then we'll put it through the firewall to get power. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put this door panel back on, and button this side up and start on the other side. All right, so here we are at the passenger side. I now know what I'm doing, since I've done the front or the driver's side first. Again, you've got a Torx screw here, let's see if I can see it, 7mm there, a 7mm down here, right there, that holds this little insert in. You'll want to remove that. Foam here and the little triangle cap. That's just a plug. That guy right there. And then you need to remove the, I'll get a screwdriver to do it probably, the locking mechanism there. And then that should do it. You should be able to pop it off and release it from there. Once you're done with that, there is a Torx screw inside this. The new ones, these tabs aren't quite as large, so I ended up removing that so I could flex that tab to pull it out easy. Otherwise, it's pretty plug and play from there. I forgot to mention that there was also another 7mm right here where the lock mechanism is. Another little piece of information that I think will be helpful is when you're trying to get this boot off here to go through where you're cabling, on the first side, I actually pulled that boot off this little housing. not knowing that if you just reach inside where the speaker is, you can compress these little clips right here and the whole housing pops out. The reason I think that's important is I spent about 20 minutes trying to get that boot over the lip of this housing when putting it back together, both up here and up here. So if I would have just popped it out, it would have been so much faster. So hopefully that saves somebody some time. I started working and forgot to stop and record different steps. Anyways, I got the passenger side door on, all the trim pieces back. I got the wire tucked up underneath the carpet, and then I basically just ran it. You can see it right there, tucked up behind, I believe it's the air conditioning vent to the other side, and started terminating wires. Get around to the other side. Oh yeah, I got a video for how to put LED lighting in your truck bed if you're interested. Check out my other videos. And back here to the driver's side. So as you can see, I got it coming through right there. Zip tied it up to my brake controller for my fifth wheel. And then basically all you're gonna do is take each of these individual lines. So this is driver side, this is passenger, driver, passenger. And you're gonna join the two together into one connection so that you have one exiting. You're gonna do that for all three of these. And then the gray one is for your ground, white. Let's see what there's the instructions here. So gray is ground, white is cargo reverse light power, and orange is running light power. And then it tells you what fuse to look for if you're in the classic or in the newer, which is pretty cool. So basically, once these are all made, I'm gonna clean it up and zip tie it up in there. And then I'm gonna push them through the firewall. And then I just went and bought an add a fuse. So here's your add a fuse. So I'll just put each connection here that's required, and then I'll piggyback the fuse in the fuse block for the orange and the white, and then I'll just find a good place to ground the gray. I might even do it under the hood here, you know, in one of these bolts. I haven't decided yet, but anyways, once that's done, that should do it. I'll pick back up when I get the add a fuse put in, and then we'll do a test. Okay, so we're under the hood here. This is actually a couple days later. Reason being is I brought in the 3 wires as discussed. Here's the orange and your white and your ground. I ran the ground up to the frame right here, and the orange and the white are in the fuse box. And I used the add a fuse as I discussed in the earlier video. So here's the trailer backup lights, and then this one is for the parking lights. Make sure I'm saying that right. Yeah, front parking lights. So the add a fuse really barely fit. Sorry about the camera there. Barely fit. I had to bend it back just to get the fuses to go in, and they're running into this relay here. And I had to completely remove this relay that goes right here just to let this wire go. So it obviously wasn't the right solution. The add a fuse over here did work because there was a blank spot underneath there. So I'm going to leave that one in place. But then I ended up going out and finding this style of add a fuse or add a circuit. And what it is it's a little jumper that you fit onto your fuse, and then that orange wire will get crimped into this, and it'll just connect right on top here. And so it'll add it onto the circuit without all the need of all this stuff, and you don't need this secondary fuse here. And if you remember in the install, the orange line had fuses built into both of them already, so there's no need for a fuse anyhow. So that's how you wire it. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this and add the circuit and rewire the connection, and then it'll be up and running. It ran like this just fine, but I wanted to put my daylight running light relay back in and have a little bit better install. And then I'll probably clean up these wires a little bit since I will be finishing this project. So that does it. We'll cut to the after and show how they operate. All right, so here's the final product. I waited till the next morning for a couple reasons. One, with the daylight, you couldn't see the running lights very well. I actually thought they'd be a little bit brighter. I did order the smoke tent, so that's probably part of it. And then of course, with the light being lower, the reverse lights, you'll actually be able to see when I hit the button. So all in all, I really like the look of the mirrors. I think they really turned out sharp. They're, you know, a little bit different, but not too drastic. And obviously when you hit unlock, they light up. And then there's the backup lights come on until you get in the rig, and then obviously when you throw it in reverse. I really dig the design of this layout here. I've already noticed it's a little bit clearer. This blind spot mirror has a wider view angle than my stock ones did. So again, I think it looks pretty good and seems to be decent quality. We'll see how they hold up. The only minor complaint, and again, I opted for the smoke tint here, but you know, I was kind of thinking that would be a little bit brighter. You can see there's like a bulb right in the middle. I guess I kind of thought there'd be like 6. That would be my only complaint. Well, the other complaint I would have is I think it's a little bit janky that you can see all the wiring right there. I'd have to pull up my old mirrors and see if that's the same way, but I kind of feel like that could have been wire loomed or tucked in a little bit tighter. But I mean, it's a minor thing. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I think all in all, it turned out really sharp. Any other questions, put them in the comments. These again were Boostauto mirrors, and I think I paid $361 for them, and that was shipped to the house. And one more look, full package. And the taillights that I tinted, the mirrors, running lights on, and the LED halo kit, which shows a little pink in the video, but it's white. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope that helped somebody. Let me know if you have any questions.